What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another episode of NBA Weekly. I'm your host, Pee Wee the Plug, and in today's episode, we have to talk about the Utah Jazz and Donovan Mitchell. Very few minutes ago, I got a Woj bomb that I think is very, very miniature, but that could explode into something that can reignite this offseason. It's kind of dipped quiet over the last week or so. And Woj here says, after previously shutting down inquiries on moving All-Star guard Donovan Mitchell, rival teams say the Utah Jazz are showing a willingness to listen to possible trade scenarios. The asking price appears to be steep, but in the wake of Utah's recent Rudy Gobert blockbuster deal to Minnesota, the Jazz are no longer simply dismissing calls on Mitchell. Jazz general manager Justin Zanuck told reporters in a recent interview, "Change is inevitable in the NBA. Things evolve in the NBA, so I couldn't sit here and say anybody is untouchable. There's no intent to trade Mitchell at all." The Jazz are open to trades across the entire roster too, but Mitchell is certainly the organization's most valuable and coveted asset. Now, this is very interesting because if you remember, a few weeks ago after the Rudy trade, all of the media and basically NBA Twitter, we kind of put the pieces together and said, oh, this must mean that Donovan Mitchell is next. And the Utah Jazz quickly came out and shut that down and said they want to have they want to have Donovan featured in this next step for them in the next phase of rebuilding this team. Now we get this information that's not necessarily making Donovan Mitchell available, but it's saying that if the right price or right package comes along, we're not, necessarily going to say no. And I think with the team being ran by Danny Ainge, and you look at his past, and you look at the Boston Celtics and how they became who they are right now, it was flexibility, it was draft capital, and it was hitting on picks. And I feel like this is a bright situation for them to overcome everything that they overcome. This team has reached a ceiling. And then when you remove Rudy from it, either or, if you remove Rudy or if you had removed Donovan, the team wasn't going to be the same at all. And there was going to be a big void and a big hole to a team that already wasn't a contending team. So I feel like this was the inevitable, as their general manager said. And I think this is a progressive move. When you look at how much you got back for Rudy, it's only right to at least listen to what you can potentially get for Donovan. Because if you get the same amount of picks, if not more, from Donovan that you got for Rudy, you're looking at a situation where you just picked up 10 to 11, 12 future first-round picks, plus you flip Royce O'Neal to the Nets for a first-round pick. So now we're talking about almost 13 to almost 15 future first-round picks that now allows you to attach a pick to a trade for Mike Conley to get him off your books. I think Bogdanovich is a guy you'd be willing to trade or able to trade sometime in the season to a contender on the last year of his deal. And then you still have Jordan Clarkson, who I think has value to anybody that's a playoff team. So the Utah Jazz, if a deal happens that they like and love, are setting themselves up to have a pretty big future. And this is looking like the year to kind of be in the mix for the number one pick, with Victor being the most coveted prospect that we've seen in a while here. So I love this direction for them. There's also a quote that I want to talk about that Danny Ainge said during Summer League on Saturday. And he said, "This season wasn't very much fun this year. This draft wasn't fun. Free agency wasn't very much fun. You're over the tax, no draft picks, and our team loses in the first round. It wasn't fun for us. We want it to be fun for our fans and our players, but we just haven't had much flexibility to do anything over the last little while." Now, this quote I'm just now seeing today, but if I would have heard this quote Saturday, that would have told me that, hey, the Donovan Mitchell trade may be happening sooner than later, because with everything he just mentioned, flexibility, draft picks, the chance to make something more exciting within the franchise, everything lays there with the Donovan Mitchell trade. And I even looked on Twitter and glanced around or whatnot, and a lot of Jazz fans were saying, hey, whatever the package is, we just need to accumulate as many picks as we can. Forget trying to get some player back or anything. What are the draft picks like? And I think if I was a Utah Jazz fan, if I was a Utah Jazz front office personnel person, that would be the same mentality I would have. Let's accumulate as many picks as we can, because the market right now is looking crazy as far as the picks go. And let's just wash our hands with it. Donovan Mitchell is a hell of a player. Rudy was a hell of a player. But the unfortunate fact is that this team wasn't as good as a lot of people thought they could have been. And I think they ran out of resources to really amplify this team and get them as good as it could have been. It kind of ran its course and hit its ceiling, and it was good for a while. They had their moments, but they fell short. And in reality, they've never been a true contending team. Like, they haven't been a sniff away from the finals or anything like that. And when you look at the money on the books, the contracts that they had, even the money that's tied up into guys like Mike Conley, it just really limited your flexibility. And then you got your coach who left and resigned. And then you trade Rudy. Now it's like, let's fully wash our hands from the situation. Let's start over, and let's commit to starting over. Let's not halfway do it. I felt like by trading Rudy, you automatically put yourself in a position to have to trade Donovan, or vice versa. If you were to trade Donovan, it would have been silly to keep Rudy when he could get you back the package that he got back from Minnesota. You don't want to be 1 foot in and 1 foot out. We halfway rebuilding, we'll be keeping Donovan, we'll be halfway rebuilding, we'll be keep Rudy. Fully commit and put yourself in a position to be able to go above and beyond. And I love this for the Jazz if they can find a deal that they love. Now, on the side of deals, I am a guy that is fully in belief that the Jazz are going to be able to find a deal for Donovan Mitchell. The Heat and the Knicks, my Knicks have been linked to Donovan Mitchell for the last few years, even before this stuff happened with all of these trades and Rudy being traded and Donovan potentially being available. Before any of this happened, the Knicks, because Donovan loves the Mets and is from the area or is home or whatever, he's been linked to the Knicks since forever. He's been linked to the Heat because of the Dwayne Wade comparisons and the love for Dwayne Wade and their relationship. I even just seen a video on Twitter where a fan was getting an autograph and he asked, Dwayne Wade, are you going to bring Donovan Mitchell to Miami? And he said, yeah. He just casually said, yeah. So those links right there make me believe that those two teams will be able to match and give the Utah Jazz whatever it is that they're looking for. I think Miami is obviously the package is going to be something around Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, some bunch of picks, and Utah is probably going to try to get Max Strus or somebody else that's vital within that system. Maybe Nikola Jovic. I saw that he was still able to be traded. They have about 30 days to trade him or whatnot. So maybe that's some type of package. It's all about the draft picks when it comes to the Knicks and the Heat for me. Then you look at the Knicks. I think we have an incredible batch of young talent. Obviously, the Cam Reddish thing hasn't really hit how I would have hoped or I would have liked. For whatever reason, the Thibodeau playing time and just the fit, I don't know. It was a very short amount of time. I still believe in Cam. I still want him on the Knicks, but I definitely would see that the Jazz would probably be wanting him. And then when you look at the mixture of Quickly, Grimes, who I hate to even mention in this, and Toppin, you probably look at Reddish, one of those three that I just named, and maybe somebody that makes the money match like Evan Fournier, something like that, and then an abundance of picks. To me, the picks is where it becomes tricky. Because when you look at Rudy, and he got, 4 or 5, however you want to, phrase it because of swaps and things, I'll just say 5. If he got 5, the Utah Jazz wouldn't be wrong to want 6. To just say, hey, he's better than Rudy, and we got 5 for him. You got to at least start with 5 or give us 6. Like, there's nothing less than 5. So for me as a Knicks fan, that right there makes me feel like there's a high possibility he can be a Knick. I am not a fan at all of miniature backcourts. That's something I've expressed since I've started this basketball media stuff on a podcast, YouTube, Twitter, anywhere. I'm just not that much of a fan of miniature backcourts. The way that the league is progressing with the size, even the point guard position with Cade Cunninghams, Lonzos, LaMelos, the big point guards and the big wings and big guards all over the floor, I think you need size. Size is important. And to have 2 guys under 6'3", trying to defend and score against all of this size in the league, I think puts you behind the 8 ball. And it's tough. Now, as a Knicks fan also, I am understanding that we just need talent. We really, really, really need talent. We haven't had a player as dynamic as Donovan Mitchell in a very long time, so I can see the interest and why some people in the front office would be fans and why they would entertain it and why they would try to put a package together. But I can also see why we would be hesitant because we just signed Jalen Brunson. The defense hasn't been ideal. And I think that's a situation that you would have to put a backcourt of Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell into. You would have to have your other 3 being super, super, super superior defenders. And I'm not sure we have that right now. And then also getting rid of an abundance of those young guys with the picks, it's just like, man, if you do that and you commit to it, and I do think Donovan Mitchell is worth it. Do not get me wrong. I think Donovan Mitchell is worth it. You want to be put in a situation where you can go to another level. I don't think this is a proper trade because I don't know how good that Knicks team is. If we commit all of that hassle and money to Jalen Brunson and then flip and commit all of that trade draft capital to Donovan Mitchell, you would hope that puts you in a position to be close to contention. And I don't think that roster says that to me. A backcourt of Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell is good, but it's not great. And then we would have to put the pressure on RJ taking another step. What version of Julius Randle are we getting? We just paid Mitchell Robinson. Is he becoming the defensive anchor that we've all been looking and hoping for? I am not sure how I feel about it. I'm kind of like Donovan Mitchell is so good, you have to be somewhat open to it. But long-term thinking, and when you look at the construction of the roster, Donovan Mitchell fits way better for Miami Heat. If I'm Donovan Mitchell's agent, or if I'm Donovan Mitchell myself, I probably want to go to the Heat. The Heat have everything except what I do. And you put out a team that has Kyle Lowry, Donovan Mitchell, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo. Don't know who's going to play the four for them, because if you brought back PJ Tucker, that would have been ridiculous. But if you put that team together, Donovan, Jimmy, and Bam, that three right there with Kyle Lowry, Max Strus, if he's not in the deal, you still have Victor Oladipo that you brought back, Gabe Vincent. You have some stuff there to really, really, really try to put a run together. And I really think Donovan Mitchell on that current Heat team would have made all of the difference for them in last year's playoff run, where they fell short in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Celtics. He is really just what they need. And I think that team fits him better because they have a big void in what he does, which is scoring the basketball. You'll still have Jimmy defending and doing all of the other things that he does. You still have Bam back there anchoring the defense. With the Knicks, again, we're good, we're solid, but I still have my questions on how good we would be, because we still don't know the jump that RJ Barrett is going to have, if he's going to have a jump. I'm anticipating that he will. I'm hoping that he will, because he had such a great year last year. We still don't know exactly what we're going to get from Julius Randle and which version. You hope that it's kind of somewhat similar to the most improved player year, but it's kind of hard to expect that after last year. Still don't know what to expect from Mitchell Robinson for a full year. So it's so many question marks on the Knicks that it's kind of like, where do we go? And then as if you look around the league, a lot of teams are kind of set in stone. And, with the DeAndre Ayton situation kind of lingering now with this Kyrie and Kevin Durant, I'm not even sure who's the wild card teams out there. You know what I mean? Is it a Pacers team? I don't know. After drafting Benedict Mathurin, it's just, do the Raptors have interest in that? But then again, it's like the Raptors are in significant need for a center, not another guard. I really don't know. And I look around the league, and I'm going to do a quick Google search just to put all of the teams in front of me. And, there could be situations. I saw that 3-team trades where Durant gets to go to the Heat and maybe Donovan goes to Brooklyn and a bunch of picks goes to Utah. But you look at the Lakers, there's no way for them to get them. Golden State isn't going to have any interest. Boston, I don't really see a way. Toronto, do they? Maybe. Miami, yes. Chicago, no. Dallas, they don't have nothing. Phoenix, no. Philadelphia, no. Brooklyn, maybe a 3-team trade. Spurs, no. Knicks, and then it leaves you with like the Bucks, who aren't going to do anything. I don't see the Grizzlies getting involved in this. Charlotte, I don't see it. Oklahoma City, probably not. The Pelicans, probably not. There's not many options out there. Besides the Heat and the Knicks, I just don't see too much. The Denver Nuggets, depending on Michael Porter Jr. and how the Jazz feel about that. But when you look at the Hawks and they got DeJounte Murray, the Wizards don't have anything. The Magic are just going to be young. And again, the Pacers, don't really see much of that forming or happening. I know you still have Miles Turner and everything like that, and some people that you can probably package together. But if I'm being honest, I think Indiana's main focus is to get DeAndre Ayton and to move forward with Tyrese Halliburton, Benedict Mathurin, and hopefully get Ayton and just move forward like that with their young guys. I'm not going to lie, though. If there was a way for Indiana to get involved and put together something that the Utah Jazz would like, Tyrese Halliburton, Donovan Mitchell, and Benedict Mathurin, it ain't bad. It ain't a bad jumpstart to a rebuild, or at that point a retooling. The Kings, the Donovan Mitchell, De'Aaron Fox backcourt would be cool, but again, they don't have anything either. So very limited market as far as who can get involved just from assets, matching contracts, and everything like that. I am a big fan of Donovan Mitchell going to the Miami Heat. I hope he goes to the Heat, but I'm not going to lie. As a Knicks fan, knowing what we have, knowing what Danny Ainge is going to prioritize as far as, draft capital, the Knicks are in a very, very interesting situation to acquire him. They're in a very interesting situation to acquire him. And if we were going to do so, I personally would hope that the trade is very, very simply sold with the picks, and we can hopefully do somebody that makes the money match, like an Evan Fournier contract, hell, even maybe a Julius Randle contract, just exploring options. And then Cam Reddish, and then hopefully something else. But it's very hard to put together a trade without considering one of the youthful players like Obi Toppin, Quentin Grimes, or Emmanuel Quickley. So it's going to be interesting to see. My whole thing is to not oversell. I wouldn't want us to be able to have to put together 4, 5, 6 picks, and then also we're giving up Quickley and Toppin. To me, it feels like that's pushing it a little bit too much. Hopefully, if the Knicks do make the trade, we're able to sell the Jazz on the draft picks, and we don't have to part ways with too much of our youth, because I feel like we've done such a good job of acquiring that talent and putting them in position to kind of grow. And I'm very, very curious to what those guys are going to do next year for the Knicks. So that leads me personally, just from what I want and what I like, to the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat have been scratching and itching to be able to acquire a star all offseason. They were at the top of the list for Kevin Durant. They were at the top of one of the lists for Kyrie Irving, and now they're at the top for Donovan Mitchell. It seems inevitable for the Miami Heat to make some type of big splash, especially after losing PJ Tucker. This would be a very, very good rebound and would put them in position to maybe be able to duplicate the season that they had and do a little bit more come playoff time. So I'm a guy that's hoping for Donovan Mitchell to go to the Miami Heat. I love the fact that my Knicks are involved and we are being aggressive to acquire high-level talent, because, like I said, everything about the Knicks' perspective has nothing to do with Donovan Mitchell. It's just the fact that we already acquired a miniature guard. Putting one next to him would make our defense atrocious. And we have so many other question marks surrounding that talent that it kind of makes me want to pump the brakes before you go all in. I truly believe if you're going to go all in for Donovan Mitchell talent, you have to be a team like Miami, who's really missing exactly what he does and has everything else surrounding it, and boom, you go up. But if you're the Knicks and you're committing this, and all we're going to become is a 6th seed, that's not ideal. That's not ideal for me. I would rather run with our young guys, try to see who becomes what next year, because like I said, we have a lot of question marks, especially with our starters, seeing who can fill themselves out of the question mark territory. And then going forward, we'll know exactly what to expect from Jalen Bronson, who he is as a starting guard. We'll know exactly what to expect from RJ Barrett. We'll have Julius Randle figured out, and we'll know if Mitchell Robinson is truly the starting center of our future, even though it'll be after we've given him a bag. That would make more sense to me. But I definitely want to see what Emmanuel Quickley is going to be like. I want to see another step from Quentin Grimes in regular season. Try to figure out this Cam Reddish situation. And then, of course, Obi Toppin, Jericho Sims, and a lot of the other young guys that we have. It's time to really let them show us before we give up on it. But like I said before, I understand the talent of Donovan Mitchell and how much we are in need of talent. So I'm not fully against it. Just want to make sure we do it the smart way. As always, I am Pee Wee the Plug. This is going to be very interesting. You can expect the video from me as soon as we get a full official trade. I will see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.